All right. Well, as far-left Democrats and progressive activists continue to push their woke agenda to America, our next guest points out in a new op-ed, a very good one on FoxNews.com, that there is one secret they won't admit out loud.
Here to tell us more, Hoover Institution senior fellow and all-around smart dude, Victor Davis Hanson. Victor, thank you so much for being with us. Great op-ed at FoxNews.com. I hope everyone checks it out. I want you to give us the how and the why this happened, because you put some great stats in here. 65% of Americans today making more than $500,000 are Democrats. 74% of those who make less than $100,000 a year are Republicans. 17 of the 20th wealthiest zip codes gave more money to Democrats than Republicans. This is a new realignment, class realignment. How and why?
Well, it happened, I think, over the last 30 years of globalization, where we had these coastal cultures from New York to Miami and from Seattle to La Jolla on each coast. And they looked out at Europe, respectively, and Asia. And people who had skills that could be internationalized, law, finance, media, academia, did very well. They had a market of 7 billion people. And people in the interior tended to be assembly, manufacturing, the traditional muscular labor jobs, and they didn't do as well because their labor was replicated or their small business was outsourced. And it's really, you can really see it, Pete, because I think there's two ramifications. When we seem baffled when we look at the military, or we look at Wall Street, or the corporations, or professional sports, and say, why are all these people leftists? And I think the answer is they're very, very wealthy. And the corporate CEO has a little different attitude. He's the one we hear, but we don't hear the salesman, driving from city to city trying to sell stuff, or the sound engineer versus George Clooney, or the part-time teacher who's piecing together, $25,000 with part-time work versus the college administrator. So we have a class breakdown, and anybody who is exempt from the ramifications of their own ideology tends to be very left-wing. It's easy to say, let's defund the police if you live in a nice zip code.
Exactly.
And it's easy to say, let's have an open border if they're not going to bust somebody who hasn't been tested for, let's say, COVID-19 to Martha's Vineyard or Malibu.
Well, what about...
So I think we really got to re-examine the woke movement, especially in terms of class. I don't think many Americans need to hear another lecture from Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg or Mike Bloomberg or the Obamas who venture out from Martha's Vineyard, or Oprah from her $90 million estate, or Meghan Markle from her $15 million estate, or have LeBron James come down from the Los Angeles hills with his security detail. And that's what the woke movement does not want to talk about. This was a top-down movement that was organized by largely wealthy people who were never going to be subject to what they advocated for the rest of us.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think when I was hearing you speak, I could only think about one of the first things that Joe Biden did was shut down that pipeline, which just put so many people out of work, but satisfied the elites and their obsession with, with climate. And at the same time, they're begging OPEC to produce more oil. So it clearly wasn't about the climate.
No, it wasn't. And here in the San Joaquin Valley of California, which is pretty impoverished, when you talk to people, their questions are not whether there's going to be a black national anthem at a pro football game. It's the price of gasoline has spiraled. Yes. The price of lumber has spiraled. The price of electricity has spiraled. They're worried about forest fires. They're worried about drought. And all of these are middle-class issues, and yet the people who are running the government and who are influenced by the trillions of dollars of market capitalization in Silicon Valley or the megaphones in Hollywood, they think things are going great. I've got enough money, I can live in a place where I can be safe. I have luxury items. I don't really care about gas or power. And I think really the Republicans really have to make the argument that they're the party of the middle class, because all the data shows that they are.
Victor,
so that caricature of a wealthy white male Republican putting on a golf course is not accurate anymore.
Yeah.
Victor, you make the point that they talk down to the middle class. Like, you don't know anything. We know better. We know what to do, what's best for you. Talk a little bit about this and how they're losing the middle class as a result of that.
Well, I think they don't understand what they're doing. I think they are creating a middle class backlash across racial lines. And we see that with black males especially are starting to change their attitudes politically. Hispanic males, they're joining poor white males. And they all say, you know, we have more in common than divides us because these elites do not like us. And you can see the vocabulary specifically in answer to your question. Remember, it was Barack Obama who said clingers. Hillary added to that vocabulary with irredeemables and deplorables. And then Joe Biden trumped them all when he started to use the words like chumps and dregs. And so they have nothing but contempt for the lower middle class and middle classes. And they feel that, you know, they lack the empathy of the poor, they're not romantic like the poor, and yet they lack the taste of the upper classes.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Your piece is so good and talks so much about how they're losing the working class minorities that they purport to stand for. Such a great piece. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you.